As each one has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever preaches, let it be with the words of God. Whoever serves, let it be with the strength that God supplies, so that in all things God may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Hello, ladies, and welcome back to Pruning to Prosper. I'm your host, Gina Morton. Today, we are going to talk about the gifts that you have been given and also the grief that you have gone through, because I believe the gold in discovering who you are called to be lies in your grief and your gifts, either one or the other, or a combination of the two. So you're thinking right now, yeah, I'm feeling God calling me to the next thing, but what is it? So I always tell my kids, God is not out to keep your purpose a secret. There are breadcrumbs, and it's up to us to follow those breadcrumbs. And if you really struggle with math or you really struggle with an area of school, it's probably not what you're called to do. Like, God gave you gifts for a reason. They are meant to be used and they are meant to be shared. And it is your duty to use those gifts that He's given you, because that's your unique purpose on earth. And if you're not using your unique gifts that He gave you, then the world is not in balance. It is your duty to use your gifts. So let's talk a little bit today about finding your purpose, discovering what you're called to do. This one, you might want to get a piece of paper and a pencil and kind of take some notes, because I'm going to give you a little bit of homework here. So whether you use this to make money is totally up to you. This might just be what you want to do in your free time, but I'm going to assume that people are here looking to take their life to the next level and to step into abundance and prosperity. So I'm going to go with that. Let's begin with your gifts. So get a piece of paper out, and I just want you to go through what you're good at, what you're naturally good at. Now, if your ego is saying right now, I'm not good at anything, then ask your husband, ask your best friend, ask your kids. All right. Because I know my friend Lori is so good at remembering facts, and she's very much into health and wellness. And I I called her one day and I was like in the parking lot of Aldi, and I said, Lori, did you know that not all oatmeal is gluten-free? And she's like, I just called her out of the blue, and off the top of her head, she's like, oh yeah, this is why. Da, 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 da. Told me all the reasons why. That's a gift. Like, she retains information very easily. She has the heart of gold. She has healing hands. So if you're not, it's not coming to you easily what to write down, ask your best friend. They'll tell you. But if you go to a party and people are like, oh, you make the best cookies, or, oh, I love your brownies, or they're always sold first at the bake sale, or people are like, I love your style. Like, you always have a great sense of style, or you're a good listener, or you are very artistic. Some people have very obvious talents of they can sing, they can dance, they can paint a picture, they can take photography. But there's other people that have gifts of, remembering historical facts, or remembering people's names, or throwing really great parties for their kids, or they're really good at doing a craft, or they're very patient. These are the people that put together 1,000-piece puzzles and never get discouraged when 95% of them are the same color. Like, all that stuff that you just kind of blow off is your gift. I remember in college, a girl came into my room and she was asking me for a piece of paper, and she was so amazed that within 5 seconds I had it in my hand, because I knew exactly where it was in my desk drawer, in which file, and I pulled it out, and she was like, you're very organized. And I remember thinking, like, gosh, I wish I could get paid for that, but that wasn't a thing back then. So another thing that I loved always as a child was playing with my dollhouse. And I would take the furniture out and I would rearrange the furniture every day. And I would use the kitchen as the dining room, and I would use the dining room as the den, and I would use the bedroom as the kitchen. Like, I was always rearranging the furniture and thinking, how can I redecorate? Well, I also didn't know that an interior designer was a calling either, but I definitely had some of that. But I use it now in my own home. I'm really good at thrifting. I can go into a thrift store and within 5 minutes I can figure out if it's worthless or if there's something good in there. I can do the same at an estate sale. Like, it really is a talent, a gift. It's the energy I put out there. We're going to talk about raising your vibration and tuning into your energy to get things that you want out of life. But that's down the road. But anyway, just look for things that come easy to you. Do you sleep train babies well? Do you potty train your kids well? Are you patient with kids? Are you patient with older people? Do you exercise? Do you have like a good knack for how the body works? And do you motivate people? Are you the one in the running group that's like, come on, guys, let's get up at 5 and go, go, go. I know it's cold and dark and whatever. Are you the one that remembers people's birthday? Are you the one that always has a card in the mail or always makes that phone call or goes out of your way to help somebody else? Like, these are all your gifts, okay? And these are probably things that you do without even realizing. Things that come so easy to you that you would never imagine you could get paid for them. I love getting rid of stuff. I love decluttering. Who knew this was a job, right? So write all those things down. Nothing is too small, nothing is too big. Don't be humble, because God put you on this earth for a purpose. And that's what we're trying to figure out today. Like, what if you had 1 year to go and God was like, you've got 1 year. This is your Harper Lee moment. You have 1 year to write your book. What are you going to do with it? Okay. Maybe writing comes easily to you. Maybe jokes come easily to you. Right. So write all that stuff down on your piece of paper. All right. Do that. Now, on the other side of the paper, the flip side of the paper, I want you to take a few moments and reflect on the grief that you have gone through in your life, because God can use anything for good. All right. So I want you to think way back to childhood. I want you to think about, if you were bullied on the bus. I want you to think about if you sat alone on the playground. I want you to think about if your parents got divorced, if you lost a grandparent, if you lost a pet, if you went through a hard breakup as a teenager, if you had some sort of suicidal attempt, if you had a near death experience. Have you gone through a major illness and come out the other side? What have you gone through? Have you lost a child like my husband and I did? Um, did you struggle with fertility? Have you gone through fertility? Have you gone the path of adoption? Have you overcome a physical disability? Or have you learned to live in a world that doesn't always accommodate you? All these things are the trauma or the grief. And it might be hard to write these things down, and it might be bringing up some feelings, but just know that everything can be used for good. Okay, so take a moment and write those things down. Oh, another thing I had on my list was like a job loss, or, um, have you lost a lot of weight? That's not a trauma, but like, have you done that? Like, have you gone through like a life of like being overweight and struggles? Or have you gone through the opposite? Have you struggled with eating disorders? Okay, so anything like that, write it down on your list. Okay. When you're done with your list, I want you to just kind of take that all in, look at both sides of the paper, look at your gifts, look at your griefs. In there lies your answer. Okay. So, what do we do with these two sheets of paper? You need to pray. Like I said, God is not trying to keep this from you. Like, your mission is yours for the taking. But God is a gentleman, and I'm going to say this over and over again, and you need to go first. He's not going to go where he's not wanted. So you need to pray every single day. God, what do you want me to do with these gifts? God, what do you want me to do with this trauma that I've lived through? God, show me how you want me to use my gifts today. Who can I help today with the gifts and the grief that I have been given? And therein lies your answer. It's so simple. It's probably right in front of you. You've probably had a feeling in your heart for years that you could probably help somebody through this. I have a friend that's a really good writer and editor, and so that's her gift. She helps kids like write, college essays, and that stuff comes so easy to her. Like she does it in her spare time while she's building her other business because that comes easy. So it's probably so obvious you can't even see it. All right. So just take the time to really ask God to show you, open my eyes to the talents and the trauma that you want me to use. Now, what are you going to do with this? Well, let's try to make some money off of this. Okay. So it could be a physical product, it could be a service, or it could be some sort of coaching or something like that. I'm going to go with coaching because that's kind of what I know best. And I knew when I started my business, I did not want a physical product. I don't want a garage filled with stuff. I didn't want the inventory somewhere else in the world. I was not going to be bothered with that. But some people love that. Some people love to create, and they have, an entire basement filled with beads and strings and stuff to make jewelry or painting supplies or fabric to make things out of fabric. Like that's all well and good, but that's just not my thing. So I'm more of a service based. I physically go in and help people declutter their homes, and I also do coaching. So what comes easy to me and what I love is I love talking about money. It's very easy and fun for me to stay on a budget. I love meal planning, and all of this I've turned into a job. Like people pay me to budget with them and to keep them on task and to keep them motivated, and it's awesome. So um, the other thing I want you to remember is your girl is either right beside you or she's two steps behind you. Okay. So she is probably you at some point in time. If you're really good at meal planning, maybe there was a time when you weren't. Maybe you were a hot mess and every day you were doing drive through because you're just like, I can't even think to make a meal or anything like that. But now you've kind of gotten it together and it's moving and grooving. All right. So there's some woman that's two steps behind you that is in your place of feeling overwhelmed, not knowing what to make for dinner. There's whole businesses based on putting together meals for people that they can easily heat up, that they can, put together at a party type of a thing, and then they freeze them. That's all a possibility. Like anything is possible. Like we are being brought up in the greatest age. Don't talk to me about the good old days because these are the good old days. Like there is nothing you can't do. I'm in my basement, in my cedar closet, talking in a microphone, inspiring women to get out and do their live their best life and do what God's calling them to do. Like I'm just here at my house by myself, right? Anything is possible with the technology that there is today. And if you haven't learned that in the past 2 years with COVID, like I don't know where you've been, but it's possible. Okay. And you just have to start with the prayer and ask him what he wants you to do. Your girl is two steps behind you. I'm going to talk a little bit about when we were at the NICU, when Teddy first went to Hershey. We were in this, we would call it the fishbowl because they didn't know what was wrong with him. And yeah, I mean, they knew he had cancer, but we would dress up like you see now during COVID times. Like we had the eye shield, we had the face mask, we had the hairnet, we had the I don't know what you call it, but the gown, we had the things over our feet, we had the gloves on. Like we walked in there like we were, walking in when they come and get ET in ET, like all the scientists come. That's what we looked like. But anyway, and people were just, there's the whole other NICU with all the infant babies in there. But we were in this corner room that was enclosed in glass. And I remember watching the new arrivals come, like the mother that just had the baby and then they have to whisk it off to the NICU, and just the fear in her eyes and the uncertainty. And, some of them, I met some really wonderful women. There was one that was a single mom, and we used to pump together in the pumping room, and, just struggles and heartache. And, I would look at them and I would think, I hope you have your faith because you're going to need it, and, but that's one of my gifts that would come from the trauma of this experience with Teddy, was that I'm two steps ahead of them. Like I've been in the NICU. Like I can show you where to pump. I can show you where to like get a good snack in this hospital. So that's all it is. It's you leading the woman that's a little bit behind you as she's just beginning her trauma and you've already kind of been in there. Doesn't mean I'm all the way through it. Doesn't mean I'm totally successful at it. It just means I'm a little bit farther down the road. Or it could be more like what my friend Jen does. My friend Jen has a podcast, Living Joyful and Well, and her thing is like, it's come with me, come alongside of me, because she's, she might have a little more knowledge and the motivation and that sort of thing, but really we're all in this together, and her entire membership is based on women just having fun. Like, we just have a good time. We have book club. She does motivational talks on her walk every morning. Like, that's all it is. It's just women that are looking for other women that want to have fun. That's our whole thing. And I love it. It's so fun. Right? So she's walking alongside of us. So use all of these different ideas to figure out what God's calling you to do. And right now, I don't want you to get into ego and thinking, but. No, 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 no. You're only writing down your gifts and your grief, and you're praying. All right. And you're inviting God into your business. You're saying, God, show me what you want me to do. Use me. All right. Going back to the opening prayer, the Bible reading, as each one has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. These are the gifts he has given you, and they are yours to manage and use for his greater glory, as if he had handed you a sack of gold. This is your job. This is your calling. Time to step into it, ladies. Who are you going to be? All right. Tune in next week, and I will see you then. Take care. Have a great day.